Let's see if we can throw a few Q&A in before we get to the real meat of the show. Where are we? So the person who asked in emails, am I human? Yes, I am. 100%. And who disagrees with my opinion of the mother should have the choice of whether to keep the child or not. Fine. Like I said, that's your opinion and that's mine. But if we're talking about sovereignty and less control, is it not conflicting where we're deciding what somebody else does with their body? That is the whole gist of my stance. Nikolai Levashov spoke about, this is probably maybe the final portion of the 40 odd questions one member sent in. Levashov spoke about his successful efforts to clean up the radiation at Chernobyl, which is correct. And according to the person who wrote it, that resonated with me immediately and powerfully, and along with his brief article on PSI, which he said I should mention to my listeners, made her ponder. Also, his article on PSI points the way we can begin to collectively make a difference. Absolutely. But perhaps the person who sent the email doesn't realise that it was this show that introduced Levashov to the West. We were the first in the Western Hemisphere to cover that material outside of Russia. So now you know. Now, next portion, you do mention superpowers in your ground and shielding piece. This would be helpful for all of us, as we could get practice harmonising with one another as a group. Isn't this one of the reasons why humans were created? So we could pilot craft with our minds, and we could go from theory to practicality before our very eyes. Absolutely. That's what this show is all about, getting people to tap in to their latent abilities, not have others fixing it for us, whoever those others may be. If everyone did it, like I said, the world's problems go away overnight. If everyone acts in personal responsibility, the world's problems go away overnight. It doesn't take violence or wars or treaties or acts or even a pen. Where are we next? One huge benefit, as I see it, is that we will get first-hand experience of what it feels like to join together for the common good. Yeah, absolutely. But the piece doesn't start with me. It starts with you all. The tools are all there. It's all on Think Different, of different things that everyone can work on themselves. You know, I already have some of those abilities, so it's not about me. It's about teaching everyone how to use it, and use it responsibly as well. Right. You've indicated a warning on all banks, correct. However, most of us have small businesses and use local banks and some credit cards. What the heck can we do to continue our stores? Well, rest assured, everything is being done so that there's hopefully a smooth transition. We can't control everything. We've more than done our part. It's up to others to do their part. And that's where things tend to stall out. Not from our end, it's from the other side. they have to implement certain things, and certain things are taking a bit longer than they should do. Others, it's understandable, but we've done absolutely everything to keep things flowing as best as possible. You know, at the trust, if it wasn't for the trust, this country would have collapsed in March last year. There was no money. There's none now. So all the businesses would have gone. And it's all about keeping yourself going and riding the wave, which is not easy in the current economic circumstances, which are far worse than is put out, as you'll find out later in an op-ed piece. You know, but you have to keep going. Maybe cut back is the way to go. What you need, not what you greed, is the way forward. Have you ever commented on Robert David Steele? Several times. The man's not ex-CIA, he is CIA. And rogue elements as well. Where are we next? If more intelligent beings locked genetically sensitized resonators, humans, into a giant Mobius loop life force harvester for aeons, feeding on our suffering and pain, from a certain point of view, what they have built was a bomb. That is the only justification I can think for quarantining us with the psychos. No, they're trapped. These are all contained in the must listen to shows. This is why at the beginning of each show I ask people to listen to them all, maybe more than once. You know, the quarantine is both a protection for us and to trap certain ones into the system and hopefully correct them one way or the other, whatever means that takes. You know, their plans was to smash the planet and flee. Well, the ones that wanted to flee can no longer do so. So they've got to fix the mess as well. Now, there'll always be psychopaths, but the key is getting the minions to step down. And whilst that's in a closed system, that's far better than opening it up and letting more psychopaths come in with advanced weaponry and wiping us all out. Because as the mindset is of some of them currently, that's exactly what will happen. All that rage at once would blow a hole in the real universe. Am I onto something here? No. Is this a simulation harvester 2.0 or more of a dissipator, really? Well, they do have plans for their virtual reality world to replace the loop matrix, and some of them are helping them rather well with that, with the overuse of technology. Buddhism as a philosophy rather than a religion has many reasonable practices for mindfulness and compassionate action in the world. Do you have any insight and info on where the ancient Buddhist knowledge was drawn from? Given the region, I would suggest it was linked with the Rus. That whole region was Rus. I think that's where it goes back to. The Buddha gained enlightenment from the contemplation of the mental planes and has much to teach us about being centered and compassionate to all beings. Fine, I agree with that. We need many people operating from the mental planes. At the moment, there are very few. I'm wondering, whenever funds are released, will there be possibilities for us that are in our late 50s and early 60s that have been out of the workforce for many years due to many different circumstances to start work again, so that we'll be able to make a living and pay our own way? I think this is a big worry on a lot of people's minds. Well, I have said before, the regular members of THI will be some of the first to be funded, because I want all of you working for the People's Club. That's the object of it. And because you've been brought up in the People's Club way, and then you can go out and teach others to operate in the same way or similar. So age doesn't really matter to me. You know, I'm in my late 50s myself, so it doesn't really matter age if you think you can contribute or you would like to contribute in what mostly I'm hoping will be a paying role. You know, some of it might be where you want to just chip in a few hours here and there, whatever it may be. But the idea is for THI to expand out, and the only way I can do that is by employing as many THI people as possible. Can somebody help me find out if I have a parasite or I've been flagged for walk-ins? Yes, they can, but it's not easy. And generally involves a lot of people who say they can do it when the reality is they can't. You mentioned that members have done a lot of work around drink and drugs, and I want to find out what they did to help re-establish human sovereignty in the body. Well, there's a lot of people in the MeWe chat who can talk you through that, including myself. You know, THI has got many people off pharmaceuticals, many people off long-term drink and drug addiction, and also prevented a number of suicides privately. You know, this is what we're all about. It's not just about the intel or the hammer knowledge, it's about helping people. Let me see. Find something. How does a person know when they found the real self? Only you can answer that. There's an inner knowing. Is Source helping out with the process? Yes. The more you reach out, the more you gain. The more you find the real self. The more the inner knowing, the more the connection with Source. Are there any sources you can recommend we can research to discover more? Or where are we? No, we'll go back up a bit further. How is it you have become aware, accurately informed of the many topics that you've covered over the years in your shows, be it history, esoteric, spirituality? And is there any sources you can recommend we can research to discover more about the information ourselves, either as truth masquerading as fiction or by any means? Well, as I've said many times, I don't read books, never have done. I read the internet occasionally, through the 90s and the first decade of the 2000s. It was fairly extensive, of acquiring vast volumes of knowledge. In the last 6 or 7 years, it's been more of a case the information comes to me rather than I go to it. And that's what happens when you expand your consciousness out to unlimited boundaries. It just keeps going. So the information suddenly comes to you. It may come through in a download to you, where you hear some words or a sentence. It may come in a song. It may come in video form that you can see in your head. There's many different ways. But certain things come to me at certain times. There are times when I do have to go searching, but then I realise I'm wasting my time because I'm just not ready yet to deliver or receive that information. That's how it works. I hope that helps. But yes, the Russia with Love and also the Demons and Magic shows were triggering to the person who asked that question. They were meant to trigger. Is Anne really dead? Yes. September the 4th, 2016 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It was a Sunday. Some person wants to know if the Manor World Holding Trust could build a poor man's time machine for everyone. I think we have far more pressing things to deal with than time machines. Someone sent in another load of questions, 10. I'm not going to have time for them. Another one asking the same thing: how can I get the Manor World Holding Trust funding to build a time machine for everyone, since global youths are addicted to video games and interactive digital lessons? Manor World Holding Trust could fund the transitional education programs for future teacher and student lessons, shouldn't the trust? Like a sample tour of Alexandria, the Great Library of Alexandria. In the future, yes. Some of those things are already planned, but there's far more pressing things that have to be dealt with now than that. We have a lot of people suffering. My mother died 2 weeks ago. I'm inheriting much needed money and the banks are crashing. I'm all in with the truth of the Manor World Holding Trust and believe in you and totally trust your intel. How can I protect money I would inherit? Well, I'm not a financial advisor, but it depends on how much it is really. If it's sufficient to house under the bank of the mattress, I would do so. It's not like you're going to get a vast volume of interest, is it? You know, if the banks go down, and it's looking more and more likely, the danger is you may not get access to your money again. Given the January the 1st 2015 rule, should the banks collapse and declare an emergency, all accounts will become ownership of the bank. And if you think the FDIC is going to bail you out, they're bankrupt also. They won't. You've seen what happened to the people in Iceland when they collapsed it there. People lost hundreds of thousands. Did they get it back? Not really. So sometimes the bank of mattress may be the best bet. If it's larger amounts, then maybe look at buying some smaller houses like fixer-uppers and either sell them on or rent them out. So at least you have your money tied into a property. That may be something else you can look into. It has come to my attention that President Trump has vetoed 0 bills since becoming president. Is Congress doing that great of a job that President Trump signs all the bills sent to his desk into law? Strategy is all I'll say to that. Strategy. Right, I think we've had enough of that. Apologies for those who I haven't answered. They're all still on the list. I'll eventually get round to them, but we're having to cover that much these days. I don't have the time, and we've got a lot of material coming up in this show. Oh boy.